So in my project, I'm using this motion controller pawn. And this is part of the VR template, right? It has those metallic robot hands, and we have the pickup cubes that we can pick up. But we really didn't look at what's inside of them and how the mechanism really works. And this might get a little, I don't know, theoretical, but here again, I'm recording it. Just pay attention. Don't worry about trying to follow along with it, because it's kind of an interesting concept inside of Unreal, this idea of connecting multiple blueprints with each other. We've seen that you can drag a reference for a, let's say, this pawn. I can go to my level blueprint, and I could drag it in, and I can get a reference to some of the components that are in it, right? If I wanted to talk to its camera, because it's in the level, I can then say get camera, and there's that component. There's I can get into the blueprint. But what if the blueprint doesn't exist already in my map? What if we're spawning it? How do I do code around things that aren't spawned? What if I want to connect my blueprint with a bunch of other blueprints? This is where we get this concept of what's called a blueprint interaction, right? It's just called a BPI, or blueprint interaction. And it's a way of creating portals between different blueprints to do, like, I want to be able to shoot everything in the sky, not just that one blueprint. And this is a way that really extends it's extremely powerful. And I'm going to go over it today because it's a way of, we already have this great template for doing VR hand controllers. Let's go ahead and examine it and see how it really works. And it's not that complicated. It just requires one new concept. So if you've looked at the motion controller pawn, it does a couple things. It tells you, it says, are you doing a VR tracked experience where I'm standing, or am I doing one that's like a Google Cardboard, right, where the camera's right here versus getting its height from the ground. It has a reference to the motion controllers, but one thing you might notice is that I don't actually have any hands here. It's just the camera, which is kind of confusing. It took me a little while to figure out myself. The motion controller pawn, if I want to use it, I put this in a level, but all the other stuff is actually in my the other component, which is the actual motion controller. A bunch of stuff. But we don't need to worry about it. I'm just letting you know, like, there's two components to it. But what's important is actually this cube. How can I pick up, each one of these cubes, or how could I spawn them to all fall down and still be able to pick them up without programming each individual cube? So if I open up this is where it gets interesting. It has an event that's coming from my motion controller called event pickup, and one that's called event drop. And how is it getting that event from the motion controller? Well, what it has is this little thing called an interface, a pickup actor interface. And it's the most simple thing in the world. It's just two little functions that have no data in it whatsoever. So for an entire project, for like an entire game, you can just use one interface, and every time you want to send an event from one blueprint to the other, you just give it a name, and then you load in the actor interface. This one's called BP actor interface, and I can grab it from anywhere. So the BP actor interface, the BP pickup cube is only this. This is the only code it is, because it's referencing all the code. There's crazy amounts of code from all this other stuff, but I don't have to worry about that. I just want you to know that it's there, but we're not worried about it. To kind of prove a point, what we're going to do is make some sort of new blueprint. I'll just do one from scratch. So assets, blueprints, and I'll make class, and this is BP, and it's pickupable. And if I wanted to get the idea of pickup or drop, it wouldn't be there. It shouldn't be there. This is the wrong thing. This is a message. I need an event. But as soon as I load that actor interface, and compile, I can now get drop. And I can now get pickup. And these, this is like the extent of the hard stuff. And from here I could find where is it pickup. Right here. When it grabs, it's saying pickup. So it's sending, and this one is receiving that and doing things. What is it doing? Well, it's doing two things. It's saying it's not simulating physics, right? It's not falling away, and it's attaching it to my hand. That's all it's doing. And then when I drop it, it's saying it could fall, and it's detaching from my actor. Okay? I just wanted to get into that for a second because I use this all the time, and it really lets you be able to connect your blueprints. It like blew open my world. And then maybe next week we'll get into like inheritance or something like that where we can really leverage this further. But I just wanted to let you know how this is actually working, because when we ever get this other project opening, this Essentials kit, it's a bunch of ideas like how do you get drawers that can't be taken all the way out of the cabinet? How do you get doors that only open certain amounts, levers that only go certain things? They're all the pickup interface, and they all just work and extend from our motion control that we have. And you guys can leverage that, knowing how what the nuts and bolts is underneath, and it's really cool. But to go back to something that's maybe a little bit more instant gratification, let's go back into our camera, or actually let's even do a new world real quick, so we can start kind of with a fresh mind. Go into here. And I want to show you one major way of doing interaction that we haven't really gotten to. And it's maybe a little bit overlooked now that we have controllers. We don't really think about the fact that when we just had how do we use a Google Cardboard? We only had gaze, right? And then you had a button, right? So let's get back into gaze, because that's, as we start seeing eye tracking become cheaper and cheaper, this will be something we start using a lot more, is knowing where people's gaze is. I'm going to go back and grab my, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to be right here. And I'm going to be flying around. So if I hit play, am I flying? Am I crashing? Maybe I shouldn't have 3 projects open and be screen recording at the same time with the VR headset connected. Poor little baby. Alright. I didn't want that. Let's go into game mode, and let's see if I'm flying around now. Okay, this is what I want. So what I want to do is I want to know everything I'm looking at directly in front of me, all right? So this is called forward vector. This is the most important concept in video games. It's how we said we went from 2D to 3D. When we know where we're looking, we know how to have something perpendicular, and then we get Wolfenstein. So what I'm going to do is open up my level blueprint right here. And I'm going to talk about when I'm flying around, I'm not even a camera, I'm just like the idea of a camera. I'm going to, first of all, get my first component, which is my camera manager. Just anything that is the camera, talk to it. This is going to get cool in a second. Camera manager. Oh, I saw it. Cameraman. Get player camera manager. Okay, so this is me. This is my camera. What I want to know is where I'm at, which way I'm looking, and I only want to look for a certain amount of distance. Okay, because I don't want to look off into infinity, because I'd just be looking at the skies all the time. So I'm going to get actor location. So I know where I'm at, and I know where I'm looking. So I want to get my rotation. And then for my rotation, I know which way I'm facing. So I'm going to get my forward vector. And that's the scene component. I need to get forward vector. That's scene component, scene component. Math. There we go. So I have two things. I have where I'm at, and I have which way I'm looking. Now I need to look into a certain amount of distance, and that's set up my forward vector. I'm looking forward for how far. It's multiplication is the math for this. If you didn't know you were going to get into vector math today, welcome. So we're going to say times a float. That's a vector times a float. And I want to look in front of me 1 meter, 1.5 meters, so 1,500 centimeters. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get into what's called raycasting. And raycasting is, again, one of the most used functions inside video games. We want to know, and in Unreal it happens to be called a line trace, because we have many different kinds of traces. It has a box trace, it has a cube trace, it has how wide of a net do you want to cast? Do you want to have to pinpoint and look directly a certain way? Or do you want it to be, if I'm generally looking in that direction, does it turn on? So we're going to do get line trace, or just line trace. And it's called line trace by channel. The channel just means it's visible. It's visibility. If it's invisible, you're not seeing it. So I have this right here. Where's my start? My start is me. I'm starting from me. And where am I looking? I'm looking in front of me 1,500 centimeters from this location. So second bit of vector math, and then we're done. Float plus a vector, or a vector plus a vector. Vector plus a vector. And now what do I need to execute this? I'll send a tick first. So event tick. And what's going to happen is I'm not going to see a damn thing, because I'm not doing any debug draw, even though this is being sent ticks. So let's do a debug draw. Down here, I'm going to say for the duration. So everywhere I'm going to go, it's going to leave a red line that I was there. You see that? Red means I'm hitting something, green means, or what was it, green means I'm shooting through something? I forget. Yeah, shot through it. So the green means I've already hit something first. So I'm now hitting all these things. So this is how you would shoot a gun, right? You shoot, and then a little bullet thing would go psst at the end. You're not actually sending a bullet forward. You're just saying, hey, make an explosion happen where this thing is hitting the next thing in front of me. Right? This is now using your forward vector to hit things. So, what kind of things can I hit? Good question, Todd. Well, there's a thing called break hit results, and it's everything. Like, this is one of the most lightweight computational things you can do, but it gives you so much information. It tells me, first of all, yes or no, I'm hitting something. It tells me how long I'm hitting it, how far it is from me, what its location is, what point on it am I hitting it, what is the rotation of that point, what is the material, what's the name, what's the component within the actor, what's the bone, if I want to shoot somebody and make them do something like that. All this information is given back to me at like 60, 90 frames per second. So I could just say, tell me what actor I'm hitting. So I would just print string on this. And what's my hit actor? There we go. And then now you're going to see I'm looking at the cube, the frozen room, the cube, the frozen room, the cube, the frozen room, the sphere, the ball. So now I'm getting all this information. And to tie this back in with why I want to talk about interfaces is because now each of these know when they're being hit. And so I could say I'm looking at you blow up, I'm looking at you blow up, I'm looking at you blow up. I could just add interfaces to all these and they know when they're being hit because I'm saying it's going to check for, am I being hit, am I being hit? Oh, I'm being hit, I'm going to do my thing. Am I being hit, am I being hit? And all of a sudden the entire room is interactive. Everything is playable because you're using those interfaces and it's looking for them. So it's not just grabbing now, it's I have laser eyes, right? And I could do that stuff. So that's cool. I have this Cyclops that is shooting out stuff in front of me. So what am I going to do? Let's use controllers now. So I have button presses to go along with that, right? Because I'm looking at things. I can hit a key press, but that's not a good VR mechanic. So let's not worry about this code anymore. But we're going to copy and paste it so that we have it ready for us for a controller. I think I made a custom, so I'm just going to turn off tick, and this is now no longer executing. I could copy, and then let's see if I made a blueprint for my jousting pawn. BP VR pawn. So I made this one like a few weeks ago, and I'm just cheating because I don't want to have to like put the camera in, but basically I have a camera, and then I have a sphere for one hand, and I have a cone for another hand. Okay? I'm actually going to hide these two meshes because otherwise I would be just hitting that mesh that's over my hand, and it's checking on visibility. If I make it invisible, it won't be seen anymore. So I'm going to hide it. And now, find my event tick, and I'm going to hit paste. And it's no longer an actor, it's going to be a component. I want to get the component from my right controller, right? So grab a reference to my right controller and say get component location or get world location. Cool. Get component rotation. And then get the forward vector. Is that going to work? Yeah. So now, when I plug this in, I should now have a laser coming out of my hand instead of my camera. Let's make this player 0. And I might have to like set up the rift. Let's see. Got ahead of myself here. So the rift wasn't on when I turned on Unreal. I might have to restart the project real quick. We'll see. Always calibrate your rift. Don't do what I'm doing, which is dangerous. Let's see if we have VR. All right. What's the other one? Oh, there it is. So that's why it's like that because I'm not calibrated, I guess.
It's going to be a thing again. Okay. Size.
So the what?
The size.
This was a thing called screen percentage. So on event play, we're going to execute console command screen percentage 100. Is it R screen percentage 100? Let's see. There we go. Alright, so it's not tracking well, but you can see that my hand is now shooting it out. so it knows that that's cool. New drivers. I tell you what. I'm trying to ruin my demo. I wonder how long that will take to update. Probably like an hour. So let's just move on, and I'll just be shooting from the hip, kind of literally. So what I want to do now is I want to do what I was just talking about. I want to well, first of all, who's used a decal so far? Have you used a decal? Did you use a decal? A decal. What's your favorite poster? So you guys are in college. Everyone has to have this one. All right, so let's bring in Mr. Belushi. Go to my textures. Import them in. That was quick. And what we're going to do is, on this wall, I'm going to hang my poster. It's called Deferred Decal. Alright. We're going to load in the material. So let's turn this into a material. Keep it organized. Why this material? Why is this one doing this? Oh well. I don't know why a simple material is going crazy. We'll do that later. Potentially, it's just tired. It's got plenty of juice. There we go. Whew. Okay, so this material, which looks crazy right there, we're going to make it a type of decal, deferred decal. Now it's going to say I need to turn it to translucent, and let's save it. Let's save. Material. What was the size of that JPEG? It's tiny. Thought maybe I got like a print quality one or something. Oh, that should be fine. It's just that I'm loading this other project, which I'll stop. Doodle-doo-doo. This is comical. I will end the task. Doodle-doo. Doodle-doo. That's probably quicker. Well, we're back. It's my fault for trying to open up too many projects at once. Alright. So, that was the one called Untitled. Oh, well, here's the content examples. Let's close that. Alright. So maybe we crashed and we didn't keep our decal. Let's go over here to our decals. Put it there. And hopefully we still have our material. Yes, we do. Let's just make sure it's set up right. Window. Let's make sure this is deferred. Blend mode, translucent. And then it's using my texture's gone. Import from the desktop. And that's how you recover a project. Now let's go rename it something more simple. Okay. Load it in and save. This is where we were last time. Let's see if it goes this time. Otherwise, I think that JPEG's cursed. Maxed out. Maybe I should just pantomime the rest of this. This was supposed to be so cool. You believe me, right? You know? I think, but I barely even like use, I even used it over the weekend.
Maybe that's why. She says you didn't use me over the weekend, so now I'm gonna punish you.
It was too nice. All right, so now we have this material. So what's cool is that we can go over to this decal, throw it in here, and right now it doesn't look right. But I want you to notice that this is also a three-dimensional object, right? I'm going to take this and rotate it. I'm going to save all just because it's been a little bit of a pain. Take this, I'm going to rotate it, and we might start seeing something. It's actually three-dimensional. Isn't that cool? So this is how you do like blood splatters and stuff inside of games. You just add a little decal, and that way you don't have the material. You don't put a material on it. You don't have to UV it and stuff. So there we go. It is a large texture for what we need, but here's a little poster on the wall. Cool. Well, what I want to do now is I want to use my controller, and I want to be able to spray paint this all over the wall. Right? So it's time to use controllers. We will open up our pawn, and what we're going to do is, instead of using display name, we're just going to get the location of the hit. I don't care what I'm painting on, just tell me where it hit something, and then I'll spawn a decal there. So from here I'll say, I'm first of all going to do a branch. I only want it to do it when I actually hit something. So I'm going to say branch. If I hit something, if there's a hit result, then hit a location. We're going to say spawn decal at location. What is the decal? The decal is this crazy material. M decal. So M decal. And where's the decal size? I don't know what the default would be. What were you? 128. So we'll make it small. We'll put like 28 by 28 by 28. Or 32 by 32 by 32. And what's the location? The location is wherever it hits. And what's the rotation? It's wherever the rotation of the normal is. It's which way the face is facing. So that my decal is always facing out, because when it was rotated the wrong way, we couldn't see it. There we go. Now the one thing is, though, this is always going to be doing it, so I'm going to show you how to use a controller. So the controller that we're using is right motion controller. It's the right one, yes. So I'm going to say right motion controller, and then this is the trigger, and this is the grip. So I'm going to use trigger. So only when I hit the trigger do I want it to line trace. Or what I could do is always line trace, so I can see where I'm looking at, and then say only hit it when I'm at a place I want to shoot. Okay? So let's get back in there. Make sure I still have my console command, which I do. And we'll hit VR go. So now, where's you're not doing it? I don't want this to do. Let's debug. I'm gonna hit Alt Tab to bring it up and look at my pawn. Oh, because it says gamepad right trigger. These are called motion controllers. Motion controller right trigger. Here's all the buttons, all the face buttons, the grips, thumbstick. We just want trigger for the right one. Let's see. Let's do our little debug. Motion controller right trigger. This is the right. That's the trigger. Let's try the grip. Sometimes you have to be in the window though. Let us bypass the branch.
While coming out green, is it possible that it's like hitting the game first?
Oh yeah. Let's, instead of saying hidden in game, I'll just make it invisible. Good call. Or I can just delete the mesh. Pro.
Are you in the floor?
I think it's that. Look at their painting right there. So let's just move it up a little bit. And this is all because of the stupid driver update that I don't want to spend time doing. All right. Floor is set to collisions preset. It's set to invisible wall. Or where's the collision? Ignore pawn. Visible. Try this real quick. All right. That worked. Still painting it down there, but at least I'm getting the red one. Oh, there we go. Start painting it. See that? Finally. All the posters I wanted. It's not doing the right rotation, but at least it's a start. It's a start. Here we go, fix it. Thank you, Kyle, for that one. And thank you, Oculus, for your incessant updates. For sake of time, we're going to speed this up real quick. And we're going to not worry about rotation for a second. That was getting in the way. And now we're going to say, okay, well, we have the decal. What else would I want to spawn when it hits something? We can also say, I want you to do a couple things. This button can do as many things as I want it to on one frame with a sequence node. Spawn decal. What else do we want it to do? We want it to spawn a sound at location. spawn sound at location. What's the sound? I don't know if I even have any sounds. We'll say steps. And then what's the location? Well, those locations are here. There we go. And then what else do we want to do? We want to also maybe spawn a particle system, an emitter at location. What's the location? Well, we know where that is. Let's see if I have an emitter. I have all the crazy ones. I don't think any of these are going to work. I need like the standard assets. But we would spawn a particle system. And also what I want to do is spawn a call force feedback now. No, we just want it to be a this one finally opened up. That's hilarious. Impulse. Add impulse at location. At location for my right controller. And no, not impulse. It is a radial damage. Radial add radial damage with fall off. And where's the origin? The origin is from my location. Radial damage is just an explosion. What is the base damage? I don't know. By default, I don't know what a unit for damage is, so I'll just make it 1 billion. And what's the radius? We'll make it 500. And there we go. I'm going to take some of these actors. I'm going to make sure they're movable, which looks like they all are. Alright, let's see if I can knock them off the screen. We've had problems. Okay, now what's happening? Let's try that again. So this other project did finally open. This is the VR Essentials thing I was telling you guys about, where you can open up doors and all these other kind of cool things. I'll get this compiled for 421 and give it to you, so you can pick up cool stuff. Let's get rid of it because I think it's getting in the way. Save all. The headset is just like a big red dot. Alright, we have 5 minutes left in class. I'm just gonna unplug it, plug it back in, and we'll just do this one thing, and we'll call it quits. I was gonna set up a whole pool table and we were gonna play pool. It was just...
The best laid plans, huh?
We were fun. We'll never know.
Alas.
I'm never gonna play pool now. Let's open our map for the pièce de résistance, and then we'll get out of here. Alright. Okay, we got the thing. But what we didn't get was the radial damage. Then we just go a little bit more nuts. And make it like even more. That's the wrong decimal point. Doo-doo-doo. I don't know what units those are in, so I'm just going to do that. What a noise. Boom, 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 boom. Alright, one more. So if I'm trying to hit something, I need to see what its mass is so that I can move it. So what's your mass? It's pretty heavy, but I'm going to override that and make it really light. And this is one of the things that's calculated when you import assets in, and that's why it's important to model things in the correct scale. You got gravity. Alright, one last time. Boom! 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 Boom, 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 boom.
Oh my god.
So they were too heavy.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'd be spawning a particle explosion, spawn like a little belushi. Ooh. And so that's how you start using controllers. Super fun. This is what I say, like, developing for VR is like super instant gratification if you do it right. So, anyway, it's sometimes important to see me make all these mistakes so you realize that everyone has to struggle with this stuff. So here's the idea. Anyway, we'll stop it for today.